All right, everyone, get ready because things are about to get really interesting. Today, we're going deep on this new AI system for generating video.
Generating video, yeah, but not just like those short clips we've all seen.
Exactly. We're talking videos that are minutes long.
Minutes long with AI, that's a pretty big deal.
It feels like a totally different ballgame from those 10-second clips we're used to.
Oh, absolutely. This is completely different. Those short clips were amazing, don't get me wrong. But being able to keep a video coherent and engaging for a whole minute,
That's the challenge, right?
that's where the magic happens. This new system, it's called Loong, by the way.
Loom. Okay, I like it already.
It's all about tackling that problem of long-range dependencies.
Long-range dependencies. Now there's a mouthful. What does that even mean?
Basically, it's the AI's ability to understand how things connect over time, like how a choice at the beginning of a video can affect something that happens later.
Okay, so like in a movie, if a character drops a key in the first scene, then it shows up an hour later. You get why that's important.
Exactly. And most AI models up until now, they've really struggled with that they're focused on getting each frame looking right, but they miss the bigger picture.
So how does Loom crack the code? I was skimming the paper and they mentioned this thing called unified autoregressive modeling.
Right. So instead of feeding the AI text as a separate input, they basically weave the words into the visual stream.
So instead of reading a movie script, it's more like Loom is experiencing the story in real time. Is that what you're saying?
That's a great way to put it. It's like it's watching the movie unfold in its AI brain, which lets it pick up on those connections between what's being said and what's happening visually.
That's wild. And that's how it maintains coherence over a longer period of time.
Exactly. It's a game changer. But training an AI to think like that, to create a whole minute of video that's no walk in the park,
I can imagine the amount of data they must have had to feed this thing.
it's intense. They use this progressive short to long strategy.
Progressive short to long. What is this some kind of AI boot camp?
Kind of, they start by training Long on massive data sets of still images, just getting those foundational visuals down pat.
Okay, so like before it can make things move, it has to understand what things look like on their own.
Exactly. It's learning the visual alphabet first, and then they move on to short video clips, only about 17 frames to begin with.
17 frames. That's like a blink of an eye in video terms.
Sure, but it's enough for the AI to start understanding how pictures flow together over time, how to create that sense of movement.
So it's like those flip books we used to have as kids where you flip through and the images create a mini animation.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about building up to that feature film.
Mm.
But you got to start with the basics, and this is where it gets really cool, because they use this technique called loss reweighting during this stage.
Loss reweighting. Okay, I'm going to need you to break that down for me.
Imagine you're teaching a dog a new trick. You'd probably give it extra treats and praise for getting the first part right.
Because if they mess up the beginning, the rest doesn't really matter.
Precisely. And that's what loss reweighting does. It basically tells the AI, hey, pay extra attention to these early moments in the video. By emphasizing those early frames, they make sure Loong gets the beginning right, which sets the stage for everything that follows.
It's like making sure the first domino falls in the right direction.
Exactly, and from there they can gradually increase the length of the video clips. Loong is trained on moving from those 17-frame snippets to 10-second clips, and eventually even longer sequences.
So it's learning to walk before it can run, and eventually it's sprinting ahead of the pack.
And all of that leads to Loong being able to handle those long-range dependencies that we talked about earlier, those connections and consequences that make a video feel like a complete story.
It's like Loom is learning to think like a filmmaker, understanding that a choice made in the first few seconds can impact something that happens much later.
Exactly. It's pretty remarkable, and we haven't even gotten to the examples yet.
Oh, right. The robot in the city, the dog listening to music, those were actual creations from Loom.
Oh, yeah. And it gets even cooler when you see how they took those initial outputs and made them even more amazing. But we'll dive into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Last time we were talking about those amazing examples, a robot in a cyberpunk city, a dog vibing to music. It's crazy to think that an AI can create that from just a text description.
It really is like you're describing a scene, and Loong just brings it to life. But it's not just about creating a static image. That robot actually moves through the city, interacts with its surroundings.
I'm trying to picture what kind of detail are we talking about here?
In the example, the robot navigates through crowds. It even dodges like flying vehicles. It
Yeah.
feels very Blade Runner-esque.
Okay, that's seriously impressive. But what about the visuals themselves? I can't help but think back to those early AI-generated images and videos. You know, the ones where faces would melt or hands had way too many fingers. Did Loong have those kinds of issues?
That's a fair point. Those early outputs, while groundbreaking, they weren't exactly perfect, visually speaking. And to be honest, the first versions of Loong's videos, they had that same kind of rough around the edges quality.
So how did they go from those initial rough drafts to something more polished? Did they have to completely retrain the AI?
That's the beauty of it. They didn't have to start from scratch. They realized they could leverage existing AI technology, those super resolution and refinement tools that are already out there.
So it's like they're combining the best of both worlds. Loan's ability to create these long-form narratives with the visual fidelity of these other AI image enhancers.
Exactly. It's like having Loong as the director and then bringing in a team of digital artists to add those finishing touches.
I'm picturing like a rough cut of a movie suddenly transformed into a high-budget blockbuster.
That's a great analogy. And the results are mind-blowing. The level of detail in the final videos is incredible.
Okay, now I really need to see this for myself. Have they released any of these videos to the public?
Oh yeah, you can find them on the Loong Project website. They've got demos, comparisons with other AI models. It's definitely worth checking out.
You know, I'm going to be glued to that site after we're done here, but before we get sidetracked, tell me
Yeah.
more about those comparisons. The paper mentioned something about a user study. How does Loom stack up against the competition?
They put Loong head-to-head with another leading AI video generation system, gave them both the same text prompts, and let them work their magic. Then they showed the videos to a group of people and asked them to compare.
Okay, so no pressure, Long, but the fate of AI-generated entertainment rests on your digital shoulders. What did the people think?
Loong came out on top. People found its videos to be more engaging, more visually appealing, and most importantly, more faithful to the original text prompts.
So not only is Long pushing the technical boundaries, it's actually creating content that people enjoy watching. That's a pretty powerful combination.
It really is, and that brings us to what I think is the most exciting part, the potential impact this could have on our lives, how we learn, how we create, even just how we consume entertainment.
Okay, now you're getting me really hyped here. Give me the big picture. Why is this such a big deal?
Think about all the ways we use video now: education, news, entertainment. Imagine a world where all of that is instantly personalized to your exact needs and interests.
I'm already imagining ditching my streaming subscriptions for good and just having AI generate the perfect movie based on my mood.
It's not that far-fetched. I mean, we're already seeing personalized recommendations, but imagine having an AI create a custom educational video that adapts to your learning style, or a news report that's tailored to your specific areas of interest.
Okay, now that's next level. But with all this talk about the amazing possibilities we have to address the elephant in the room, what about the potential downsides?
You're right. We can't just ignore the risks, and the researchers behind Loam, they acknowledge those risks head on, especially when it comes to the potential for misuse.
Misuse, like using this technology to create incredibly convincing deepfakes, for example. Exactly. That's a huge concern, and it highlights the importance of developing this technology responsibly. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the ethical implications, about safeguards and regulations. It's like we're standing on the edge of a new frontier full of exciting possibilities, but also unknown dangers. And it's up to us to decide how we want to explore this new territory, how we can harness the power of AI for good while mitigating the risks.
That's a heavy thought, but an important one, and it leads us perfectly into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the future of AI video generation and what it all means for you. Okay, so we've talked about the tech behind Loom, we've seen the amazing examples, we've even dipped our toes into the ethical dilemmas, but now I want to know what's next. Where does AI video generation go from here? It's hard to say for sure, but what we're seeing with Loong, it feels like a turning point. This isn't just an incremental improvement, it's a fundamental shift in what's possible.
So you're saying this is bigger than just better special effects in movies. This is about how we create and consume information on a fundamental level.
Absolutely. We're talking about a future where anyone can create stunning videos with ease, where education is personalized and engaging, where entertainment is tailored to our specific tastes.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Imagine a world where instead of searching for hours for the perfect tutorial video, you just type in what you want to learn and an AI generates a custom video just for you.
Exactly. And it's not just about convenience. It's about access. Imagine a world where language barriers are no longer a barrier to education or entertainment, where people can share their stories and their knowledge with the world regardless of their technical skills.
That's a powerful vision, but it also feels a little daunting. I mean, with all this talk about democratizing video creation, how do we make sure this technology is used for good?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something the creators of Loong are thinking about, too. They're exploring ways to build safeguards into the technology itself.
Safeguards, like what?
Well, one idea they're experimenting with is embedding watermarks into Loon's output.
Watermarks like those hidden patterns they put in paper money to prevent counterfeiting.
Exactly. If you can prove a video was created by AI, it could help combat things like deepfakes or the spread of misinformation.
So it's like giving people a way to tell the difference between what's real and what's AI generated.
Precisely. But technology alone can't solve this problem. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the ethical implications, about the potential risks and benefits.
It's like we're standing on the edge of a new frontier full of incredible potential, but also unknown dangers.
And it's up to all of us to decide how we want to navigate this new world, how we can harness the power of AI to create a better future.
It's both exciting and a little terrifying at the same time, but that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about exploring the unknown and asking the tough questions.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI video generation. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical details to the ethical considerations. And I don't know about you, but I'm both excited and a little terrified to see what the future holds.
Me too. It's going to be an interesting ride.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities.